All right, for part 2, step 2, this is probably the simplest group of identifications for the IPv4 address lab that we're working on. This one is the simplest one that you're going to get, and it's simple because when we think about identifying an address as public or private, we want to identify those addresses, but the public addresses, public IP addresses, are those that are routable across the internet as that particular IP address. And private addresses are not routable across the public internet. And so those addresses have to be translated using NAT and converted into an IPv4 address that is public so that it can go across the internet. Each individual organization has one or more IPv4 addresses that are public, and all of the rest of the computers that are behind that particular IP address go out across the internet as the same or within a small group of IP addresses. And that's what we did. We did NAT as a way that we could expand or extend the life of IPv4. Okay, so when we did this, those private addresses, there are 3 ranges of private IP addresses. And those 3 ranges appear in each of the 3 classes that we talked about earlier. So there's one range for each of the 3 classes for Class A, Class B, and Class C. So Class A's private range is the range of 10.0.0.0, and it has a subnet mask of 8. Okay, so what does that mean? What that means is that every address from where this network starts, 10.0.0.0, all the way through the broadcast address for this network, which if I use my subnet mask and the IP address that I was given, I could have calculated, but it is a finite range, and so we know that it goes through 10.255, 255, 255. Okay, so because we know how to calculate a range of addresses, now we know that a network goes through its network address all the way to its end is its broadcast address, and everything in between is in that range. So our first range, our Class A range of private addresses, is 10.0.0.0 through 10.255, 255, 255. All right, so just like in Class A, our Class B network, Class B's are 172.16.0.0, and that network has a subnet mask of 12. So what that means is, just like I said earlier, we could calculate it, but in the interest of time, I will just give you the range. So if you remember this, the network address and its subnet mask, you could calculate it if you ever are in a spot where you need to. So the start of that address is the network address 172.16.0.0, and it goes all the way through its broadcast address, which is 172.31.255.255. All right. Our third and final private range. The third range is our C range, and the C range is the network 192.168.0.0 with a subnet mask of /16. Okay, so what that means is my network starts at 192.168.0.0, and it goes clear through 192.168.255.255. So all I really need to know is each one of these networks and its subnet mask, and I could calculate the entire range. So what I'm going to do is, when I'm looking at the sheet that Cisco gives us for this activity, I see that, let's take for instance this first address. First address is 209.165.201.30.27. And I go and I look at my range, or my ranges of private addresses, and do I see that 209 in any of these ranges? And I don't. So I've got numbers that start with 10, all right, and then I've got numbers that start with 172, and I've got numbers that start with 192. So immediately I can look at this one and just look at its first octet and say, hey, that's not in any of my private ranges, so 50-50, if it's not private, it's got to be public. Okay, my next one is 192.168.255.253. So again, I'm going to go and look at my range. Look at my ranges. Is that 192? Nope. Okay. Is that 192? Nope. That one. Ooh, wait. Here's the 192. So what's my number again? It was 192.168.253. Okay. So going back, is that within this range? 192, 168, we're still matching. 255, is it 0 to 255? Yep, so it is on that mark. And then that last octet, is it 0 to 255 for the last one, since we're still matching? And yes, it is, because it's 253, which is between 0 and 255 for that last octet. So if I start matching and I stop when I don't get a match, then I can tell that this address that I was given is an address that is in the private range. So this one I'm going to mark as private. And I just do the same thing for each one of these different addresses. Hope you enjoyed that video. Nice, short, and sweet. Have a good day.